Hey everyone. You know, I tried to do this earlier today. When I was waiting for my mom to get out of her doctor's appointment at the Kaiser Medical Center in Modesto. But unfortunately what happened was, I was basically about 14 minutes in, and then my camera just stopped, and I'm thinking, well, the battery's charged, right? No, what happened is because I had it on the dashboard, and obviously the dashboard was getting a little heated because of the bits of the sun coming through the trees. Basically the temperature got a little too hot for it, and it ended up, turning off. Basically, it self-preserved itself because it was overheating, or there was too much heat or something. But anyway, maybe it's good that that happened, because I wanted to talk about something a little bit more than I tried to before. And the title's down there. It's going to be spelled out in some ways, but the question is, the question a lot of fans have been, the one question that's been begged, not begged, but basically fans have been begging the question, have been asking the question and begging about it, is basically, is the Sonic Comics Countdown to Chaos arc, which has started already, basically was preluded at the end of At All Costs Part 2, and officially started with this month's release of 253. Basically, it's Countdown to Chaos Archie comics, or the Archie's Sonic comic answer, or mainly Archie comics answer to DC's New 52. Now, in case some of you don't know what New 52 is, I'll give you an idea. New 52 was a result of a story arc that they did called that DC did called the Flashpoint. Now, Flashpoint, of course, was adapted recently into this, the Flashpoint Paradox, which is the latest Justice League movie and the latest DC movie. The latest DC movie and the latest Justice League movie. Now, Flashpoint, basically the aftermath of Flashpoint, the result of Flashpoint, basically the aftermath, was DC's New 52. Now, the New 52 by DC, ever since it started a few years ago and up to now, has had a mixed reaction, most of it negative. And here's why. A lot of people didn't like the fact that you were pretty much taking a lot of the origins of the characters and switching them around, making changes here and there that a lot of people felt weren't necessary to the origins of the characters, or even to the characters themselves. They didn't like it. They felt that it was unnecessary. It wasn't needed. So, so basically, when fans look at what's going on with Countdown to Chaos now, they look at Worlds Collide, which spanned 3 different comics. The main Sonic comic, the Universe comic, and Mega Man comic. They look at the Worlds Collide summer event, if you will, as being Archie Comics' answer to Flashpoint. That's how they look at it. They look at it as being their answer to Flashpoint. And thus, by looking at that as the answer to Flashpoint, they look at Countdown to Chaos, they look at 252, and which was basically the at all cost conclusion from 247, as well as the prelude, as well as the epilogue to the more recent arc before Worlds Collide, and prologue or prelude to Countdown to Chaos, they look at some of 250. They look at 252 and mostly now look at Countdown to Chaos as being Archie's answer to the New 52. Now, New 52, of course, is getting their own animated adaptation next year called Justice League War. And basically that was hinted at the end of Flashpoint Paradox, just like it was hinted at in the original Flashpoint story. Now you might ask yourself, well, why are fans asking this question? Well, it's because it's real simple. You see, like I mentioned, a lot of fans, a lot of longtime DC fans, were not happy with the result that DC had done. They weren't happy at the fact that DC had done what they did with the origin of the characters and with the characters themselves. They didn't like it. And a lot of fans look at Countdown to Chaos as being that same way. They look at the fact that, you know, the characters personality-wise might still be the same, might be tweaked up, maybe tweaked a bit here and there, but mostly the same. You know, the personalities will be mostly the same, maybe tweaked here and there. But what they're upset about is the fact that you're going to take everything that they did, that they were involved in, and basically put it to the side. Now, Ian Flynn has gone on record and said that's not really going to be the case, that the old continuity is still going to mean something, and that the reason it's still going to mean something is because you don't read, and you don't have a comic company like Archie publish 250 plus issues of one comic just to throw out the old continuity in favor of a new continuity. You don't do that. Basically, you know, so basically what Ian is saying is that it's still the same continuity. It's just going to be more sort of like a restart. It's not a restart, but it's mainly going to be like a more clearer, more unconvoluted continuity. In other words, it's going to be more easier to understand than what it was before. Which is why he's saying, hey, the old continuity still counts, but now it's going to be mixed in. But mainly, the continuity it's going to be mixed into is going to be more. But this new continuity that it's going to be part of is going to be more easier to understand. That's pretty much how I look at it. Now, some people are not happy about this because there are things from the games. Now, if you're a game fan, you're cool with this. There's no doubt about it. But if you're a game fan, you're cool with this. But basically, there are elements from the games that are becoming canon now in the Prime universe with this whole new soft retcon. You see, in the past, anytime there was a game adaptation of any kind, it would basically be done in another time, another place situation. Now, all those APs, as fans call them, another time, another place situations, all of those are now suddenly becoming continuity of the Prime universe. Suddenly starting to become continuity of the Prime universe. And even some of the games that weren't adapted are becoming part of the Prime universe. And again, if you're a game fan, you love this because you're thinking finally they're inserting some things about the games. But if you're a long-time fan, you're thinking, well, wait a minute. Some of the stuff that Sonic's starting to remember of this new world was never, and that the other characters know of, never really took place, was never ever referenced. And that's sort of what kind of gets people upset, is now all of a sudden you're taking because when they look at characters like Sonic and Tails and Rotor, and probably eventually Bunny and Sally and Antoine, referencing past adventures and stuff that associated with games like, say, Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic Colors or whatever, they don't like that because pretty much what they're seeing here, they don't like that because pretty much what they're hearing here, well, what they're reading here is, the game continuity now taking over as the prime continuity of the prime universe, when Ian Flynn specifically said that the old continuity wasn't going away. And from what they look at, and this is how they look at it, pretty much Ian Flynn, or this is how pretty much they perceive it. I should say they perceive it, even though it's not true probably. They perceive it as Ian basically trolled them. Basically, he's trolled them, he's lied to them by saying, hey, the old continuity, when he says, oh, the old continuity is still going to mean something, but yet you're pretty much showcasing that the game continuity is taking over that old taking the place of the old continuity as the new continuity of the prime universe. I know, sounds confusing, right? That's pretty much what it is. And again, my opinion here, that's my opinion, but that's how I think that's how I assume some fans are perceiving it. And like I mentioned in my video, which surprisingly has gotten, within not even a week, has gotten about 133 views, where I talked about Ian Flynn getting blasted at his own forums. It's true. I mean, even though I can never rejoin the forums because I'd be pretty much locked out anytime I try to go look at it again, what I saw there, the first day or two, when some of the first subscribers got their issues in the mails, got 253 in the mail, a lot of them were not happy. And even those that didn't get the issue but read some of these spoilers that were either PM to them, private messaged to them, or just some of the little spoilers here and there, even those that didn't have it, and even those that did have it, were not happy. And here's why. Again, you're pretty much taking a lot of what, because to them, Ian is basically saying, because to them, basically what Ian said basically what they assume, what they're looking at, is Ian Flynn is basically taking the old continuity that he said would still mean something, and now he's just trolling them by having now the game continuity be the more primary continuity in the prime universe. Basically, they just don't like what's going on. They don't like the fact that, okay, you said this, you said one thing, but yet you're doing another. Now, there are some positives that they will, I'm pretty sure some will admit on. Some, when you hear that robotization is still a primary factor, but you're not sure what kind of robotization they're talking about, that still brings a smile to your face. When you hear that knothole is still around, if you will, but in a different section of the world, that's cool. It's back, but it's like in a different area, a different zone, if you will, or something like that, or island. So, and when you hear that Mobotropolis, not new, which is no longer New Mobotropolis, but Mobotropolis is now still around, but it's on West Side Island, you're like, okay, there are some things. It's like some of them are like, yeah, there's a lot that we don't like, but there's some things that we're okay with. And when people ask the question, or beg the question, if Countdown to Chaos is Archie's answer to DC's New 52, they have a legitimate reason to ask that because of what I've talked about, of what I've just mentioned. You have basically a mixture of both continuities. Now, one thing that fans kind of find a little confusing and want answers to is why Nicole is suddenly the trigger. Why is she the one that causes people to have their memories back? Well, let me explain why. You see, Nicole is an artificial intelligence, an AI. So AIs, despite changing of realities, if you will, pretty much live in their own world. So they can observe. So pretty much Nicole, being an AI, living in virtual reality, if you will, or wherever, she can pretty much observe what's going on and realize, wait a minute, there's two different worlds going on. Oh, wait a minute, like there's two different worlds, like things don't make sense. It's like, think about it this way, put yourself in Nicole's shoes. You're suddenly standing there at the end of 247, getting ready to fight the Tails monster, right? In its monster, which is now transformed into its monstrous form with its controversial design. But you're ready to fight this monster, right? And all of a sudden, you're about to ready to fight it, and all of a sudden, right before you know it, you see this big flash of light, and you are the only one that's unaffected, because you're an artificial intelligence. You're the only one that's unaffected. You're the only one that's unaffected, acted in some ways, to the point that you remember everything. That you remember everything. Right? That pretty much you know what's reality and everything. Basically Nicole, again, like I said, think of it like this way. She's the artificial intelligence. So she pretty much can not really be that affected, but can't really be affected as much by the Genesis waves as anybody else can. Because she's not, flesh and blood. If she was flesh and blood, it'd be like, okay, she's affected. But she can't really be affected as much as they can. So she can pretty much access the memories of the past world she was a part of, the past world, of the old world, of the old Mobius, and the new Mobius. So she pretty much knows. So that's the reason. So basically she, as crazy as it sounds, her being who she is, and not really being infected as much, or affected or infected as much as the others, she's pretty much the catalyst. She's the key. Which is why anytime somebody touches her, boom, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like all of a sudden all these memories start coming back, like, oh my gosh, there was another world. No wonder I've been having these flashes of memory at night or something like that, or these dreams. It's because it was all true. And that's pretty much what Nicole's purpose is. Yeah, it's going to make her a bigger player in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the comics. But basically, because of who she is, she's not as affected by what's going on than the others were. She's kind of like Sonic. Sonic was, mainly because he was near the Genesis wave, he knows of the old world. He knows of the old world. He knows of the old memories. Even though, as we see in the comics, and what's been described for 253, just like his friends' memories, new memories are going to get mixed in with the old memories, his old memories are getting mixed in with the new memories. So basically everything he does remember is starting to get mixed in with what is getting mixed in with memories he's obtaining from the new Mobius. In other words, it's like he remembers doing this, but he also now remembers doing this, even though the only time we ever saw it was playing the game. If you know what I mean. But again, with Nicole being the trigger, if you will, it's pretty much because of who she is. Artificial intelligence. That when it comes to something like the Genesis wave, is not as affected as the others. Pretty much meaning she can see things from her own point of view. I mean, think about it. You see things from her, like I was trying to say, you see things from her point of view, like she knows there's two different worlds. She can pretty much sense that. She can pretty much see the world she was part of. So I know it sounds a little confusing, but the fact of the matter is that's exactly what Nicole's role is. Pretty much being the artificial intelligence, if you will. She pretty much knows that there was both worlds because she lived in both. She knows that. And like I said, yeah, she was affected, but being in the new world, she played it off like, okay, I know this. I know of the world I was just in. I know I was fighting against the Tails doll, but now all of a sudden I'm sitting right here trying to create a ring. Or it's like all of a sudden now I'm doing this. You know, I need to act like nothing. Act like I don't know about this old world. So that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. I know it's a long, confusing explanation there, but basically the point is that's the reason Nicole's the catalyst, the trigger. Now you gotta think of it this way. I haven't read DC's New 52, and maybe I should. But if she's like the catalyst, the trigger, the catalyst, basically the key that triggers the old memories, then I'm pretty sure DC had something similar with the New 52. They had to. Then again, maybe not. I don't know. But the point is, folks, and let me check my time over here. I'm about up to 22 minutes, going on 23. But the point is, folks, and again, I apologize for going into a long, confusing explanation, but again, the question that's raised and begged and asked is if Countdown to Chaos is Archie's new answer to DC's New 52, and in a sense, I can only assume that it is. I can only assume that it is the New 52. I mean, some people, according to what some fans have said at other message boards, some at Ian's forum have already dubbed it something along the lines of FF52 or something like that. I don't know, but you know, it's something along they've dubbed it with something with the numbers 52 because pretty much that's how they look at it. They look at it as being Archie's equivalent to DC's New 52. And you know, when fans look at it, like I said, it's basically they look, and the reason fans, you know, the reason fans kind of always look at it like that, it's because pretty much they look at Archie doing what DC did. You know, basically throwing out the old continuity in favor of the new. Even though Archie and mostly Ian Flynn has confirmed that the old continuity will still be around, and that the biggest difference is they're not rebooting with an official all-new #1 issue. They're not doing that. They're just continuing on, and which is why you have the scenes of when Nicole basically is touched by characters like Tails and Rotor and soon to be Antoine and Sally and Bunny. Well, Sally I think is going to be one of the exceptions. That they pretty much remember what's happened. They pretty much get those memories back from the old world. I mean, and I get what a lot of fans are upset about. When it comes to New 52, they're upset about not just, you know, the possible personality changes, which I don't think there's going to be any personality change whatsoever, except for maybe a tweak here and there on them. And it's not just the redesigns either. It's mostly one of the main things they're upset about is what happens with certain things that happen in the old continuity. Like what happens with Bunny and Antoine's marriage. Did that happen or did that not happen? They want to know that. You know, it's like, did that occur or did it not occur? You know, that's what they're confusing. That's what they're confused about. That's what they want answers to. And hopefully by the next 2 issues they'll get that answer. But those are the answers they're begging for, they're asking for. And this is why they're upset, because they don't want well, they don't want, but the feeling that that's exactly what's going to happen. That Ian Flynn's going to take, let's say, Antoine and Bunny's marriage and say, yeah, it happened, but guess what? In this new continuity, it didn't happen. You know, basically saying that, you know, because basically what they're looking at is they're saying everything that took place in the old continuity never really happened in the old continuity, never really happened in the new continuity, even though we're going to give these characters the memories back of the old world, of the old continuity. So that's primarily why they're upset. That's why they look at Countdown to Chaos as being Archie's answer to DC's New 52, because they feel Archie's going to go in that direction in the next few issues with this Countdown to Chaos thing, and then later on. So, but you know, that's just from what I can assume and from what I've perceived by looking and by reading certain things people have said at different message boards, including Ian's. And that's really all. That's all really I'm going to say on it. So let me know what you guys think down below. Take your time in watching this video if you like. And that's it. Comment below, and God bless.